Okay, YouTube, Tony Maloof here. I just charged my camera and I wanted to show you my reloading bench, which is a work in progress. I am taking over my son's room. He's away at school. So I'm going to use this as my reloading room. And most of this equipment I've had for several years, like this reloading press, just haven't been able to mount it, get it out, start using it. But I've been reloading for years, since I was 16 years old. But the state of the art has changed over the years, so I'm having to kind of relearn a lot of this. But I live in the Illinois, Missouri area, and it's getting close to deer season. It's already bow season. That started on the 15th of September. I haven't been out bow hunting yet. October 1st started turkey with a shotgun season. I haven't been out doing that yet either. Kind of been working, been busy. But this is my bench, and this next series of videos are going to be kind of getting ready for the gun season for deer. And I bought a rifle off the shelf, which was on consignment at my local sporting goods store, and it was a Savage Model 10, had a scope, bolt barrel, and a oversized bolt handle, which I really kind of liked. And it was left-handed. I shoot left-handed. I'm right-handed. So I'll be honest with you, I took it out, shot it. I got 5-inch groups at 150 yards. Now, that doesn't sound all that great, but that was the day I kind of sighted it in. And I was shooting off a plastic picnic table. I wasn't very impressed with my accuracy because the group was spread around the target. None of the shots grouped together very well. So what I thought I'd do is make a series of videos in where I kind of soup up the gun a little bit and load some custom ammunition for it. So I brought out my stuff. This is I think it's called an Ammo Master 2. I've had this in storage for probably 4 years and haven't brought it out. I bought some 308 dies. Not the greatest, it's a 2-die set for 308. And I had to buy this primer. This thing will prime, but I kind of like to feel the primer go in, so I bought a hand primer that you can mount on the bench. And it just so happens it'll fit on this RCBS aluminum plate that I have on the bench. This is my old case trimmer over here. Of course, safety glasses. You gotta have safety glasses, especially when you're working around primers, because they can explode when you're trying to prime a case. Never had that happen. Not quite sure if safety glasses would save you, but better to have them than not. So what I've already done, I've kind of practiced up a little bit on my reloading skills. I loaded up some Remington. So one of these boxes is our factory loads, and the other are custom loads that I loaded myself, and I think this is the custom loads. I'll show you those in just a second. Let's see, we'll open up the box here. These are called core lock, and these are the ones that I loaded. You can see the bullet has a red tip. It's a 150 grain Hornady bullet. It's got a cantilever on it, that kind of rough point on the bullet. These are not particularly accurate rounds or precise rounds. They're made mainly for hunting and target shooting. But I loaded up some of these just to get the skills back. So I was going to compare how these things act to a box of factory loads, which are in here. I bought another 20 rounds, but these are Remington core locks, and they have a cantilever on them too. And I kind of crimped them at about the same place that these are crimped. Probably not a good way of loading maybe match ammo. You probably don't want a cantilever on your hunting rounds, or your match rounds I should say. I don't think it's going to make much difference between 0 and 100 yards, but I guess we're going to find out. But what I was going to do is shoot 10 of these and compare the results to 10 of these hand-loaded rounds over here, and just see if there's a big difference in how they shoot. I just arbitrarily picked a powder load. I'm using Varget. I think this stuff was around when I was a kid. I don't remember ever using it, but it's supposed to be pretty good powder. It's a form powder. They look like little cylindrical pellets, and it's supposed to be a pretty good powder for rifle rounds. So I kind of loaded these hot. Probably not a good idea, but these hand loads were loaded with 44.5 grains of Varget. Not compressed, which means there's still, I can hear the powder shaking around in there. There's room between the bullet and the level of powder. But what I'd like to do is kind of compare, and here's where all this comes from. So I just moved to this area between the states of Illinois and Missouri, and I bought a couple hundred acres of hunting land in Missouri. And I went deer hunting for the first time last year. I didn't have a gun, and I borrowed one, and I'd never fired it before hunting season. I just took it out there and just assumed that it was all sighted in. And of course, the gun was probably off by, I'm estimating, at 150 yards. I was trying to shoot a 1 gallon paint can. I was probably off by about 4 feet. So the scope that was on there, I don't believe was sighted incorrectly, or something happened, it moved or whatever. But I did get a shot at a pretty good sized buck last year and completely missed it. So I had a friend come out from San Diego, and I built a deer stand especially for this hunt. Big 8x8 wooden structure up on stilts about 10 feet up in the air. I built it so that it had a pretty good panoramic view of most of the acreage, with great views of the ends or the entrances of all the trees, I guess you could say, the beginning of the, I don't want to say forest, but the treed areas. So if you look in a 360-degree view from this perch, you could see, you could see the trees and the edge of the forest there, however you want to say it, the treed areas of the land, which are the areas where you tend to see deer coming out to forage. And most of the property is hay, so they're always out there foraging and eating. So I figured if I could get me a good sniper rifle, I don't want to call it sniper rifle, say a hunting rifle, I should have a good view, 360 degrees around of all those areas that are most likely to have deer. So anyways, we were up there, it was like day 3 or day 4 of the rifle season, and we were actually able to call in a pretty good sized buck. I would estimate that thing weighed 2 to 210 pounds. It looked like a mule. It was a big deer. And I gave my friend the first shot at it. We called him within 125 to 150 yards of the stand. He shot at it 3 times, scared it away about 225 to 250 yards out, and me with the 308, the borrowed 308 that I had, I shot at it twice and didn't even seem to phase it. So that's when I tried to shoot the paint can afterwards to see, was that me or was it the gun? But couldn't touch the paint can at 150 to 175 yards out, something like that, with that gun. Now I did shoot my friend's gun. I was able to hit the can several times. Didn't know it at the time because the can didn't move, but when we went and took a look at it, it definitely had holes in it. So I was hitting it with and he had a 270, and I was hunting with a 308. And then some other friends of ours out there were shooting with 30-06s. But anyways, so I was hoping maybe to see if I can improve this gun. I bought it off a shelf. It was on consignment at this sporting goods store. It was a Savage Model 10. Came with a scope. I really don't like this scope at all. It's a Bushnell scope. And I wound up, pretty much buying stuff to completely overhaul the gun and essentially make it a different gun. Essentially what I'm doing is, actually you can see a hint of it here. I bought an aluminum chassis to put the action and the barrel in. Now I will tell you, this Savage Model 10 has a fluted bull barrel. It's also threaded at the end for suppressors and compensators. And it has an oversized bolt handle, which I really kind of like, because I got big hands, and I don't like those little tiny bolt handles. So what I'm planning on doing these next series of videos is getting the gun in shape for deer season. Now, I'm not going to make it a super accurate rifle. I'm not even sure if it has it in it to be a super accurate rifle, but I'd like to be within 1 MOA, for a group of say 5 shots at 100 to 150 yards. So my plan is to first of all put the gun together in a system like this, and then develop a load that will be accurate. Like, let's say that a medium distance shooter would be proud to shoot out of his gun, and hopefully get ready for rifle season. So that's my plan. I do have a Tipton rifle vise here. I have tools to mount my new scope. By the way, I'm changing that Bushnell scope. Probably going to put that Bushnell scope on my AR. I bought a Vortex scope that's 6 by 24 by 50, I believe. I don't know, it cost me nearly $600, and that'll be the scope that I use for this shoot. That rig there, which consists of a stock that was machined by a company called MDT out of Canada. The butt stock, which is a Magpul Generation 3 fully adjustable stock, I think they call it PSR or something like that. The pistol grip on there, I wanted to go with this system because as I was shooting that Model 10, I noticed that with that big oversized bolt handle, it was just spanking the heck out of my index finger, my left hand. I'm right-handed, but I shoot left-handed because I'm left eye dominant. So it was just really just cutting into my hand. So now with this pistol grip, my hand will be out of the way of that bolt handle. And when I finally put the gun together, I'll be showing you guys. So my plan for tomorrow, I'm going to take 10 rounds of my hand-loaded ammunition, compare it to the factory-bought ammunition, and just see what the difference is. Now, these are really hot loads, and more powder in this sport doesn't necessarily mean better. If you can picture like throwing a curveball with a lot of heat, the more you spin the ball, the more likely it is to curve off and go off target. Same thing with bullets, you know. I think the barrel has a 1 in 10 or maybe 1 in 12 twist, and that's you know, the part of the barrel that imparts a spin on the projectile to keep it flying straight. But that can also, at very high speeds, send the bullet off, especially if there's any kind of wind. Spin the bullet wildly off target. So I'm going to attempt to work up a sweet spot with the Varget. Possibly may test one other powder. I'm debating if I'll have time to do that. But it's early October. I want to go turkey hunting, so I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that. I'm going to do that, work up a load, but I'm also experimenting with bullet seats and types of bullets. So this bullet here is 150 grain Hornady SST. You can see it has a canalure on it. That's the part of the bullet where you might crimp the case to. I'm not sure that's a good idea to crimp a bullet for kind of a hunting or a match round. You may want to just lightly crimp a bullet on something that doesn't have a canalure. And I want to make sure that this bullet case is very square all the way around. So I will be trimming all the cases to a specified length In addition, I'm going to attempt to set the bullets in the case in such a way that it takes into account the lockup of the rifle. I'd like the bullet to sit in the chamber in such a way that it's just off the lands and grooves inside the barrel, maybe a couple of thousandths of an inch, 2 to 5 thousandths of an inch. And then maybe I'll attempt to experiment with the bullet right on the lands or just on the lands and see how that affects accuracy. But these I was just experimenting, setting the bullet. They're not even primed. There's no powder in this. Just to see how the dies would act and how well they crimp this and whether or not it would even chamber in my gun. But these are 150 grain. What I most likely will use when I hunt, these are the SSTs. I'll use these match grade bullets or something similar. No cantilure. These are a little bit heavier. I think these are 168 grains. 308 30 caliber bullet. Of course, these will require less powder than these. So I'll be working up a load using these bullets. And I'd like to just compare the accuracy and the precision of the rifle before and after. So tomorrow I'm going to shoot 10 of each of these at a target at about 100 yards after I make sure that that scope on there is sighted in well. And then I will bring that gun back home and build this one with the new scope and custom ammunition, and just see how much the rounds improve, because I definitely want to get that thing dialed in so that I can hit the kill zone, 99% of the time, because I don't want to miss out on a deer like I did last year. That was kind of bad. We had shots at other deer, but they were smaller, and after missing that monster compared to what I'm used to seeing in California, none of those other opportunities looked good to me at all. So, which gave me something to look forward to this year. So, all right, well, I'm going to end the video here. It's probably too long as it is. But as I add more reloading equipment and do things, I will, put all that stuff together, because the final culmination of this video is hopefully to bag a monster, or at least get a nice buck of some sort this season, hopefully by the end of rifle season in November. By the way, I'll be hunting in Missouri. So this table will, be added to and changed. I'm going to put some masonite on top of here, band this all around. I'm going to relieve this rail here so that I can cam this over a little bit better when I'm reloading. And I'm going to leave that half of the bench open for gunsmithing, working on guns. Little hobby of mine. If you're watching this for the first time, you might take a look at some of my videos putting together an AK-74. I'm kind of proud of that video. Still have the gun. I have not put a finish on that, but that'll be a video for the future. Either Duracoat or a Cerakote, and then a final shooting and showing off an assembly of the AK-74. I've got 2 more rifles that I have parts for. Whoops. Two more rifles that I have parts for that I'll be building. One's an AKAR variant. Upper's made by a company called Faxon. I have two barrels for it. One is a 5.56 and the other's a 300 blackout. I'll probably do a series of videos putting that rifle together. This one, I just kind of cursorily put some of these parts together just to see if everything's going to go together okay. I still have to do some Loctiting and squaring up, but these are all parts from different companies that I just kind of Frankenstein together. The whole idea behind this metal stock is to mount the action so that it's touching at only 2 points and the barrel floats. I'll be getting more into that later as I put the rifle together. So tomorrow I'm going to shoot the hand load versus the store-bought loads. Compare the results of those, and then the next video we'll be putting that rifle together with all the new parts and this new scope, and then working up the proper load for the rifle so that I get the most accurate load, so that I want to be deadly within 400 yards. Because I'm going to be doing old man style hunting. I'm just going to sit up in reminds me of a tree fort. I'm going to sit up in my tree fort and just wait for the deer, and hopefully get one this year. Okay, thanks for listening, and I hope I have some interesting videos for you. And this, just watching me as kind of a noob, it's been years since I did any reloading. I was in my teenage years, in the old days when you could B16, go out and buy gunpowder, no problem, primers and bullets. We used to use wheel weights and melt them down and casted our own bullets and then size the bullets. Those days are probably gone. Now we're using all copper jacketed bullets. Anyway, so thanks for watching. I hope this wasn't too boring. I hope I'll have some interesting stuff for you in the future. And always find time to do something in your garage that's fun, because life is short.